It's a terrible football show. What do you expect?
I want whatever you guys are smoking right now.
Just in my brain, it just makes so much sense.
OH!
Oh, baby,
go.
yeah!
You have no quarterback. You're going to need some punters.
Welcome to a terrible football show.
That's my quarterback and my teammate, man. Ruins my fucking holiday every damn year.
Alex,
What up?
you can thoroughly kiss my ass.
If it's Toledo, I'm drawing the best damn rocket there is out there.
Now that's gonna look like a dildo.
I'm telling my HR director about this show. He's going to listen to it.
They draft Xavier Worthy. What the fuck? Wide receiver from Texas.
It's a fucking hamster.
It's a hamster mixed in with a sheep.
The Buffalo Hamsters have traded.
Listen, guys, this is a terrible football show where everybody may be good at nothing, but we are terrible at everything.
That's facts. That's a clip for the intro.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
That's a clip for the intro, baby. Yeah, he's successful at just giving his terrible opinions, so why can't I? Terrible football show, after all. Welcome to a Terrible Football Show, episode 120. It is February 4th, 2025, right before the Super Bowl. And we are back after a little bit of an unannounced hiatus. I think the last episode was December 10th, 2024. So we are back for what is the season 4 finale of the show. We will not have a follow-up episode after the Super Bowl. And we're going to kind of talk about why the show's been on hiatus, why there's no follow-up, and kind of what's going to come next for the show. We're going to be talking about the Super Bowl, everything currently going on in the NFL, as well as some reflecting on things that have previously happened, like the national championship. Lots of Chicago Bears news as the residential Bears fan and the secondary Jaguars fan. Lots of news in the coaching world to chat about. And to join me to chat about them today, we do have my guy Shane. Shane, buddy, how we doing? How we feeling?
Pretty good. You know, it's a long time coming. Miss being on the show, miss the show being available. But you know, sometimes us regular guys just get busy in life. So
Yeah, and that is the hard fact, is busy in life. We're going to talk about that right out of the gate, just to kind of put the precedent of where the show's been and where the show's going to be going in the future and everything of the sort. But first and foremost, if you could, check out our Discord down below. We'd appreciate that. You can come connect with us even when the show is not happening. As well as check out the Patreon down below. Shout out to our Tier 2 patron, Hannah. We appreciate you. We'll be putting out her video request episode involving Stardew Valley here very, very soon, which also you can check out our other podcast, Gamesthetic, here at Sparky3, and we'd appreciate that. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, be a friend, tell a friend. Check out some Rogue Energy, boys, down in the description below. We'd appreciate that. Agent Inc.'s currently going through, we're working through some stuff right now. I'm finally getting around to updating some stuff on the site. So I'm not going to hard plug them, but keep an eye out for some Agent Inc. here soon. Going to update some stuff over there. All right, let me go ahead and turn down the music, and we can kind of go ahead and get rolling with the show. Show has obviously been very much MIA since 12/10, I believe was the last episode, with 119, and kind of an unplanned, unannounced hiatus. Honestly, life's been busy up front, and that goes for all 5 of us here on the show. I know when I pulled the plug, like, hey, the show needs to go on a hiatus, it's because I was evaluating my personal schedule, where it's just like, okay, well, we've got, Christmas Eve here. I've got another Christmas coming up beginning of January. After that, I got to go do this. After that, I got to go do this. Then I got to go out of town here. And then since then, it's just actually further added up. I know with my primary job, I have been doing an extreme amount of travel, full week in a city nearby, another few days in another city, another few days in another city. And I've got even more of that to come. This is the first Tuesday in a while that I'm kind of free. Next week, right back to it. Monday, next Monday, heading out of town. Going to be out of town that Tuesday. Week after that, probably going to have a full week out of town. Probably got another trip. I mean, just speaking for me alone, I've been busy as heck. I know all the guys have been, Ricky, of course, our guy who gets on his fiery rants, but never curses. Shout out to him. He's a head basketball coach, of course, and it's basketball season. He's been busy with that. Shane and Jacob and Tyler are all busy with their all respective things. Life's just been busy. That's the bottom line. But we really wanted to at least put out a finale episode for season 4 and it just not end on like, all right, we'll see you next week. And you never saw us next week. So this will be, again, the season finale. Season 5 will happen. When it will happen, I don't know. Hopefully come back in March because that's normally the plan anyway. I mean, Shane can back me up on that. Normally we do the episode after the Super Bowl. We take 1 to 2 weeks off and come back in March. I mean, that's usually what we do anyway, right?
Yeah, we do 1 or 2 episodes in March, and then we take
prep for the draft.
Another hiatus before the draft.
Yep.
Then we come back and talk about the combine.
Yep.
Draft prospects, and then we have our draft episode.
Yep.
We typically do 1 or 2 of them, and then we typically take 3-4 weeks off going into
the summer and stuff.
May and June.
Yep.
Because it's slow months, and then usually right before middle of July, we usually ramp it back up. So
yeah, hopefully the schedule will be somewhat similar. But I'll go ahead and say this right now, right off the top, right here with the episode. Let's say worst comes to worst happens, right? And just everyone's schedule's still busy as shit, and we can't necessarily just come back immediately in March or whatever. Through hell or high water, the draft episode's happening. I'm saying that right now. No matter what, that's happening.
I figured if anything, we'd be back for the draft.
Oh,
we would not miss that.
The draft episode is consistently always our best episode every year. So for sure, ATFS will be live for the draft that Thursday. That is not changing at all. In fact, at the very bare minimum, we'll figure out something to do an episode before the draft to get some mocks out maybe, or at least one episode before. That's just assuming worst comes to worst. Because, heck, just give an example of how busy I've been. I got hit up by one of my customers, right? Hey, I've got this thing going on the last week of March. Do you think you can be there for it? And I'm like, pencil me down. I don't want to put pen to paper just yet because I'm busy. I'm going all over the place right now. I cannot firmly commit a month and a half out. Let's hit me up towards the end of February, beginning of March, and I can kind of give you a better idea. So, it's kind of the same thing. Just life's been very busy recently, but we're going to definitely hope to get back on a normal track at some point. I'm looking forward to doing so. Maybe ATFS also comes back with a new twist to it. Who knows? Want to talk to all the boys about that at some point. So still exciting things to come. It's just shit's busy right now, but hey, all things considered, 4 seasons of the show with no major hiatuses is pretty good. That's pretty good. So, to hit the first little bump in the road, that's pretty good.
Not too bad.
I'll take that. I'll take that win. But anyway, let's talk about some football because it's a terrible football show, a show that almost got sued. Can you say that about your other favorite football podcast? Probably not, but we almost got sued because we're that terrible. Super Bowl, what number is it? Is it 58?
I think so.
Well, whatever number. Eagles and Chiefs. Shane, scale 1 to 10, how excited are you for this game?
I would say about 5 or 6. I'm not
really?
gonna lie to you.
All right, you're a little higher than me.
I would say about 5 or 6, and that's only because of the potential of watching the Chiefs lose. That's the only thing that gives me excitement.
See, you and I are actually on the opposite vein then in terms of excitement. So in both ways, in both statements you just said. Because for me, I'm like a 3. I'm legitimately like a 3. I give no shits to do anything special for the Super Bowl. I'm just going to probably set up my computer, play TFT, throw up on another monitor, and have a frozen pizza and chill with the wife. And that's all I'm going to do. I don't care. I genuinely don't. But my little bit of care is actually wanting to see the Chiefs win, believe it or not. The only reason is I don't have a dog in this fight. I really don't. I really don't. My only reasons for wanting to see the Chiefs win is 2 reasons. 1, I'm a football fan first. I think it'd be cool to witness history and witness a three-peat happen that's never happened before. And number 2, I forgot D-Hop was a Chief, and I love D-Hop. Let's get him a ring that he deserves.
I agree with
so that's literally it.
With the D-Hop anyway.
Yeah, with the D-Hop, right, yeah. So that's literally it for me. Beyond that, I could care less. It's obviously the matchup that we all thought was a good possibility, right? but it was not the matchup America wanted. It's not the matchup anybody wanted. You know, I don't think anyone was screaming from the rooftops. I want, not want. You know, keyword want, not predict. Right? I want an Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl. I mean, who was out screaming that from the rooftops? You know what I mean? So
I think only people from Kansas City and only people from Philadelphia.
yeah, basically, you know, definitely in Philly's case, like we want the rematch. If we want anybody, we want KC. You know what I mean? In their case, that makes a little bit of sense. But no, it's just it doesn't feel, the Super Bowl doesn't feel magical to me. You know, it's just like, and I think it's also because of like how bad this season went for me as a fan, where I'm just like, oh, thank God we're finally about to be over. You know what I mean? We're finally about to be done. I'm ready for the draft. I'm excited for the draft. I'm excited for the Chicago Bears. We'll get into that. You know, I'm ready for the season to be done. It's just kind of my vibe. So I think that also plays a little bit into it, because this was the worst year of my fandom ever for me as a fan, top to bottom, college and pro. This was the worst year I've ever had. So it's like I'm just like, God bless. Like you had to cap it off with this Super Bowl. If it would have been like Bills and Lions, brother, 10 out of 10 excitement. You know what I mean? I would have been like, all right, thankfully, terrible season for me, but at least we can end it on this. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm not feeling the excitement, but I will say this, and I'm sure you can agree with me, like probably the rest of America can agree with me. Whoever thought it was a good idea to give Jameis Winston a hot mic and let him run around the Super Bowl Radio Row deserves a massive raise.
Yeah, the comment that he made to Saquon,
Dude,
bro, that shit cracked me up. He said, "Hey, who's gonna sign me? I'm a free agent."
it's like, where do I need to go?
He's like, "I heard New York needs a quarterback." He's like, "Who?" The Giants. He said. He just kind of laughed.
Yeah,
that shit had me dying.
Right, and he'll set up these big, huge questions, right? Like all this big lead up to Chris Jones, and he's just like, so the people are dying to know, what's your favorite color? Like, dude, whoever thought to give Jameis Winston a hot mic and just go around and ask these questions, man, you deserve a raise. And Jameis has such a career after football. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like in media, the dude's got a career, man. I also saw like interview he did recently on a podcast where like one of the guys asked him, just like, so that, you know, this lineman talked about how like whenever you're giving plays in the huddle, it's always like you're trying to tell a secret, whatever. He's like, can you give us an example of it? And he started talking about why he does it. It's like, I want to keep everyone's attention. I want to keep everyone involved. You know, so the way he started kind of going through the play, he's like, man, I went with the Saints. You know, Terry and Armstead, who I believe played for UAPB, so shout out to that, would start laughing mid-play. And I'm just like, Terry, you can't be laughing, bro. This is serious.
Yeah, and he talks about, you know, how as he's calling the play out and people start hearing their responsibilities and what they need to be doing, they kind of zone out for the rest of it.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care what they do, but as long as my right tackle and my left tackle know what the fuck's going on,
right?
I'm good. They need to be focused at all times.
Yeah. No, Jameis is honestly a national treasure. He really is. You know, there was that part of me that hated him for a while because of, you know, Florida State and everything. But Lord have mercy, that man's a national treasure. He really is. But no, with the Super Bowl though, I mean, it's super fascinating to me that we've got this matchup again. You know, Andy Reid going against his former team, the number one most winning coach for both franchises. I think he's the most winning coach for Kansas City at this point. He should be. You know, going against the Eagles again. Carson Wentz is a backup for the Chiefs as well. So that's interesting. There's just there is interesting storylines to this whole thing, right? You know, it's once again, you know, the two Kelsey brothers teams. I know one's retired, but it's still his team. You know, it's the only team he played for. So it's just fascinating. You know what I mean? Like the storyline is fascinating. The last time they played, it was a solid game. It wasn't the greatest game I've ever seen. So at the very bare minimum, man, just give me a damn good game. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we will. You know, Saquon takes it up to a whole different level. I feel like Jalen Hurts is at the best level of play he's ever been. And it's the same thing for this whole team. This Eagles defense is incredible. The Chiefs, man, they're here. They're the Chiefs, and they made it. But I think we can both agree is like they are an ugly looking football team. You know, but they find ways to win. I mean, I feel like that's the accurate way to put it.
Yeah. sometimes it's kind of, and that's honestly like as somebody like on the outside looking in, what frustrates me about the Chiefs,
Yeah.
right? She's like, oh man, they're getting beat. They're getting beat. They're getting beat. Okay, 2 touchdowns in 2 minutes, they win. Fuck. It's
Right.
like, it's like they no matter what, they always will find a way to come out on top.
Yeah.
Whether it's a 13 seconds play or it's calling a quarterback power with Patrick Mahomes on 3rd and 3 when
Right.
no one really expects it. A lot of different things, and honestly, it's just that coaching staff. Like they're always a step ahead and calm, cool, and collected at always, and it's always fun to watch something like that happen as a football fan first. Watching all the kind of gears kind of click together and
Yeah.
move, even when they're down by 2 scores. I think they're like 4-1 or something like that when they're down by 2 scores this year, which is absolutely absurd.
Mm-hmm.
Just to keep that composure and still find a way to win games it's what champions are made of, right? I mean,
It is.
you
It
find
is.
ways to win.
Yeah, and it's like what you were saying about like just that staff always being a step ahead. Man, the greatest example is that closeout of the Bills Chiefs. You know what I mean? Steve Spagnuolo. It just he obviously didn't work out as a head coach when he was the head coach of the Rams, I believe, when they were still St. Louis Rams. But man, the DI is just a damn good defensive coordinator. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like almost the same vein as like what Dick LeBeau was for Pittsburgh. He had a brief head coaching stint way back when, like I think in the 80s or something like that, and it was like a 3 to 4 year deal. It didn't work out, and he just went back to being, and he just stayed defensive coordinator for like the next 30, 40 years with Pittsburgh, and he was just damn good in that role. It's kind of the same thing with Steve Spagnuolo. Steve Spagnuolo is just such a damn good defensive coordinator, man. Just the blitz package that he set up at Buffalo Bills last play that completely dismantled their entire play. I mean, it's what champions are made of. You know what I mean? Like that was championship level coaching from Steve. So and again, it is frustrating to see them win sometimes the way that they do. I mean, my boss is a Chiefs fan. I even asked him, it's just like, man, what's your honest opinion? He's like, honestly, man, we're an ugly looking football team this year, but we're just keep finding ways to win. And he was even talking about the whole ref conspiracy, right? That's always going around. He's like, man, I was watching that game, Houston, KC in the playoffs, and I saw some calls that were in favor of the Chiefs. And even I'm sitting there just like, really? Like, really? Like, he's like, I'm a Chiefs fan, and I'm saying, really? I was like, that was really called on the Texans. Like, what are we doing? So I don't know. That's why it's such a mixed bag. Cause it's also with the Eagles. I mean, they're quite the fan bunch. You know what I mean? That they are. I think we can all agree to that. That's why I don't have any form of dog in this fight. I'm more, like I said, me personally, I'm more on the side of I want to witness history. Like, my mindset is let us witness history and let's watch Chiefs just fall off after this. You know what I mean? That's my take. Watch them fall off after this. That'd be great. Get the 3-peat. Give my boy D-Hop a ring. And let's just move on. Let's just move on. Take a few years off, let someone else win it. Something else I saw that I was curious your take on is that with just the Chiefs' dominance and even the Eagles making it, a couple years ago, making it again, they made it in 2017, whatever, blah, blah. Really makes you it really, really just makes you appreciate the random matchup we had of Cincinnati and the Rams, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Like
it really does.
It puts it in a different perspective. Like, damn, we had it good that year.
I saw this thing that, going kind of back to the Bills, that, I think Josh Allen is now 0-4, 0-5 against Pat Mahomes in the playoffs,
Right.
and I forgot who posted it. If I remember the name, I'll give them credit. But he said Josh Allen should be the biggest Hillsborough fan out there because it seems like the Cincinnati Bengals are the only team that can even beat the Chiefs.
Right.
Because they've been the only one to do it in the playoffs.
Yep. I was messaging Tyler about that game when it was happening, and he's just like, I mean, we really do have a second coming of the last QB era where it's Patrick as Tom and Josh is like Peyton Manning, where Peyton Manning could never beat Tom, but Peyton was really good in the regular season. You know what I mean? And it's just like I know you could argue it's like, oh, wouldn't Peyton be like maybe Joe Burrow or something? I don't know, because Joe Burrow has beat Patrick. Josh can't. That's kind of the whole reason why I'm saying Josh is Peyton. You know what I mean? Because Peyton couldn't beat him for the longest time.
I think the better comparison would be Joe Burrow, would be Peyton, because Peyton, I mean, of course he beat him here and there, right? Get to the Super Bowl here and there. That's how he won 2 of them, right? One with Indianapolis, one with Denver, able to get over that.
And also went to 2 more.
Yeah. So he's able to get that hump, but not always able to finish. Which we kind of see that with Joe Burrow getting to the Super Bowl and losing to the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I compare Josh Allen to like a Drew Brees, or not a Drew Brees, a Phillip Rivers. Tremendous regular season, plays well early in the playoffs, gets to the championship game, or gets to that semifinal round or whatever it is, the divisional round, and just can't beat the guy. Can't beat the top guy, and just can't get there. He just never gets there. So
until Josh makes the Super Bowl, I think I can actually change up the idea of that and agree with your comparison. You know what I mean? I think I can get on board with that. And then Lamar, I would say Lamar is like a Donovan McNabb on steroids. Just an excellent passer, and a great runner as well. Because Donovan was a good runner in his youth, man. Him, Donovan McNabb, and them Eagles, man, I'm talking, they were always in the hunt, constant NFC Championship appearances, like 5 of them, I think. It's crazy, but could never get over the hump. So I kind of view that in the same vein as Lamar, where like Lamar will always get right there, AFC Championship, whatever, but can't get over the hump. You know what I mean? I know they didn't make an AFC Championship this year, but you know what I mean? They have made it. So it's kind of weird to look at the landscape of the NFL now and be like, wow, we're getting like a second coming of a lot of players already.
Yeah, and the one thing I am excited for, right? Because I mean, you said it earlier. We're mostly football fans first.
Yeah.
And the history would be nice, but the thing that would be astounding to me, Patrick Mahomes would play 7 seasons in the NFL, going to the AFC Championship every single year, and being in 5.
Every year he started. Let's make that also clear.
Yeah, every year that he started, of course. As a full-time starter, because I know his rookie year he started 1 game while Alex Smith was hurt. But 7 years of starting, he's played in the AFC Championship game every single year.
Yep.
And has been to like 5 of the 7 last Super Bowls.
Yep.
So like, and just imagine if he wins it. That's what, 4
rings already.
4 for 5. Like, that's ridiculous.
I know.
Like, that's just insane to me.
I'm sorry, but you already have to sit here and talk about his GOAT status. You do.
Of course.
You do. You already have to put him at like number 2 all time. Like I'll go ahead and say it up front. If he wins this weekend, he's already number 2 all time at the bare minimum. Number 2. Joe Montana, love him to death, but you're getting knocked down, buddy. I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it a buck. I'm sorry. I'm just keeping it real. And I've been a big Joe Montana stan. I've been that stan that has said for so long Joe Montana was number 1, Tom was 2. Right? Like I'm that level of stan. So I'm not discrediting Joe Montana at all. I'm just saying if Patrick wins this weekend, like he's already at number 2 status, in my opinion. I think he's very firmly chasing that number 1.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, he's been in the league 8, 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think 9 years.
Something like that.
So I mean, you could potentially see him play for another 6, 7, 8 years, and that's if he just is generous, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we could see him potentially be a year 18, 19 kind of guy, but I mean, ideally, you'd probably see him play 15, 16, honestly. So, I mean, you're talking about another 8, 9 years of this dude. Like, who knows what he can do? Like,
from passing yardage and TD record standpoint, as well as just Super Bowls. You know what I mean? Like,
go ahead.
He's
He's 7 years in, and I think he's already like either second or third in playoff wins.
Yeah.
Like, it's astronomical what he's doing.
It's the finest definition of an anomaly. Like, I think we can all agree that Patriots dynasty we felt like was an anomaly, and it is an anomaly, right, in terms of the NFL history. But that's a whole team, right? That's a team anomaly of just the dominance they were able to do for like 20 years. Because, like, you know, they got the amount of Super Bowls they got, but it was also just the amount of AFC Championship appearances and everything, to the point where, like, a great example is like one of the last times they won it, you know, the AFC Championship, and Bill was up on the stand. They hand him the trophy. He just grabs it in one hand, hands it off to someone. It didn't matter anymore. You know what I mean? It's just like, we're here for the Super Bowl. So while, yeah, that was an anomaly, we are seeing an anomaly with not only this current Chiefs dynasty, but just Patrick Mahomes. We're seeing an anomaly with him.
I mean, it's really like Madden shit. Like,
It
like
really is.
It's like you're creating a franchise player as yourself.
Yep.
Your first year doesn't really go that well because
Yep.
you're like a 66 overall.
Yep.
But by the time that second year rolls around, you're winning Super Bowls and you win 4, 5, 6 in a row.
Yep.
And you're like, you know, I'm kind of bored now.
Yep. Time to move on.
It's that type of shit.
It
It's like,
really is.
now let's request a trade to the worst team in the NFL and do it all over again. Like, it's getting to that kind of point.
Man, imagine Patrick Mahomes in a Carolina Panthers jersey, or
be
Cleveland
crazy.
Browns jersey, or New York Giants jersey.
Yeah, I mean it's getting to that kind of level, especially if he wins this weekend. It's
Yep.
like, dude, like there's some for real Madden players that play Madden every day on just a franchise that can't do what he's doing in real life.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy to think
Yeah.
about. It doesn't feel like real life, man. It's crazy, and that's why, again, I'm leaning. I want to see the Chiefs win this weekend. I think it'd be cool just to witness that history, continue to further the anomaly that we're witnessing. And I think it's also because I'm older, and I was so hateful towards the Patriots dynasty and Tom Brady, you know, because they just won all the time. You know, just being young, just be like, oh, you know, oh, fuck them. Granted, there were some other reasons I feel like to be hateful that was justified. A lot of allegations, you know, a lot of, you know, things that were found to be proven true with suspensions. You know what I mean? You can agree with me on that. There were legitimate reasons to complain, but like this time, it's just being older and witnessing something like this again. I'm kind of just appreciating it. Like, you know, now if they were in my division and I'm a diehard Chargers fan, a diehard Raiders fan, a Broncos fan, well, you know, I might have a little bit of difference. If this was the Packers we're talking about and the Packers were doing this, I would respect it, but I'd be pretty pissed off 24/7.
Yeah, it's tough out here as a Broncos fan.
Hey, I mean, you got problems in the future. Yo, that division's stacked with coaches though. Stacked.
Insane.
I mean, Pete Carroll coming back only on a 3-year deal, with an option. You know, it's, you know, he is older, so that makes sense. But yeah, Pete Carroll, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, Andy Reid. What a coaching division, dude. Like, oh my God, that division's stacked in terms of coaching and coaching wins and just titles amongst everybody, whether it's college or pro. It's just crazy for the AFC West, man. Like, maybe it will finally be a really fun division to watch next year, top to bottom, except for the Raiders. No disrespect to Pete Carroll, but he's got a lot to figure out with that team. I'm keeping it a buck.
I think first thing he's got to do is figure out what quarterback
Yeah,
he's going to be getting.
Yeah, got to figure that out. I'm just saying, Minshew Mania, run it back. Minshew Vegas Mania. Just run it back. It's fine. But anyway, hey, you know, it's the only game. We got some other stuff to talk about. What is your official prediction? Who are you picking for the Super Bowl?
Look, I know we were glazing history, and I'm all about history. I will not be completely upset if the Chiefs make history, but for the sake of Saquon getting back at the Giants, I'm still going to go with my initial gut that we talked about before we went live. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I will be putting up a bet, a parlay on the game. Because, bro, the last 2 weeks of NFL football for the wild card round and the divisional round, I know I'm kind of escaping off the route here, but anyways, both weeks I was one leg away of winning $1,600 plus both weeks, pissed off, and that includes the national championship game. But anyways,
I feel you.
But I'm going with the Eagles. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say it's a high scoring game.
Okay.
I say over 65, 70 points scored.
I can see that.
I'm gonna say 38-34.
That's respectable. Let's see. I'm gonna say score is gonna be 35-28. That's 4 TDs, 5 and 4 TDs apiece. I'm feeling that. Could also see a couple field goals in there, so that score can kind of be skewed a little bit. I want to see the Chiefs win at this point because, again, no dog in the fight. I just want to see history. I want to see D-Hop get a ring. But I have a feeling that the Eagles are going to actually pull it off. And I have, from the sake of just predicting the winner, I think I'm going to go with the Eagles. Not my want per se, but I think in just terms of what the teams are doing right now. If Saquon can even slightly replicate the kind of play he's been doing, same thing with Jalen, just a very balanced offense, you know what I mean? Then I think the Eagles can actually make this happen. I think the Eagles can get it done, especially after just seeing what they've done throughout the playoffs, you know what I mean? I think for just the sake of correct predictions, I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles as my winner. So, we'll see if that's accurate. I'm not going to say looking forward to the game, but yeah, all right, it'll be a game. Keeping it a buck.
Tuned in.
Yeah,
we'll be tuned in for sure.
We'll be tuned in. Join the Discord and chat with us. Still staying in the vein of NFL recent news, man. We got a couple of big trade things happening. Myles Garrett requested a trade. The Rams have informed Cooper Kupp they will be trading him. With the Myles one, him requesting it, it has nothing to do with money, apparently. Apparently, the Browns have no problem paying him a massive deal. This simply comes out he wants to win, and he does not view it happening in Cleveland. Can't blame him. Look. I mean, God bless. Look how the team did last year, especially when just the year before you had a whole roster injured, right? You're on third and fourth stringers, and you make it to the damn playoffs with like an 11-5 record or whatever it was, with your third quarterback of the year. So what the heck happened this year with that 3-14 record? I mean, I can't blame them, but I would be really curious of your thoughts on potential landing spots. Cause I actually have one landing spot in mind that I don't think is super far fetched. I'm curious if you've got any ideas. Cause obviously they don't want to trade him. This is going to probably stretch on a while. I think we can both agree to that, right? This is not going to happen in a month or two. This may not happen till late summer. You know what I mean? But I think we can both agree it's not going to be AFC. It's just not. If they don't want to trade him to begin with, they're not going to trade him within the AFC, right? I mean, what are possibilities that you think could be for a potential trade partner for Myles Garrett?
The first one that comes to mind is him going back home to Texas,
Dallas.
So that's Dallas or Houston, right? And plus, like Houston, him going to Houston, that would just help that defense. They were already a pretty good defense, but that will just make them insane. Dallas, they needed an edge rusher last year with the loss of I forgot his fucking name. I can see that, but also
Micah or DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah. So I can see that, right? I mean, he played at Texas A&M. I could see him at least letting those teams like be put into the pot, right? Another team, man, if this was 2 months ago, I would say Lions has got to be on his list, but I don't think now that the season's over with, Aiden will be completely healthy. And I know they traded for an edge rusher right before the deadline after the Aiden injury, so I don't think the Lions are going to be there. Though. Yeah. Other than that, man, it's just honestly anybody in the NFC that didn't have a good edge rush. I mean, you're talking about the Giants, the Jets and AFC. Giants, Houston, and Cowboys probably my my top three.
So let me propose a thought to you. And I want to make the record known. This is legitimately just realistic thinking. I swear to God. Okay. Think about this as a potential trade partner. Okay. Right there. Chicago Bears. We have the 10th pick. Okay. Apparently, current rumors around the league right now is that a lot of scouts only have like 10 players as a first round grade. So unless the Bears are absolutely sold on somebody to get someone at 10, trade that 10. I mean, you're getting Myles Garrett for a 10. You would have to trade your first for next year, potentially your first pick of the second round this year. I mean, those are losses, sure, but we got some more picks for day 2 into round 3. We've got some more picks for day 4. We've got over $50 million already ready to go for just this year, plus more money for next year. You know, the Bears are one of the hottest teams on the block right now, with Ben Johnson coming in at a brand new level of contract that's never been seen for a coach. Caleb Williams had a phenomenal rookie year. You know, you got a great receiving core. You got to desperately improve the offensive line. You got a bona fide defensive coordinator with Dennis Allen. I know the Bears aren't like, they didn't have a Super Bowl contending year this year, and he wants to go somewhere to win. But I mean, I feel like there could be a lot of upside for Chicago, in my opinion. I'm just keeping it a buck on that. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, it's definitely potential, right?
Pair him up with Montez Sweat. I mean, come on. What are we talking about?
But the thing is, what I've heard from watching, ESPN and hearing these, these professionals talk about the draft class and things like that. Last year they were saying that there was like almost a record of, quarterbacks going in the first round and yada, yada, yada. They're saying that there could be 10 to 15 defensive linemen going in the first round.
True.
Not necessarily because they have that, they all have the high first round talent, but everybody's consistent and it's a very deep defensive line class.
Yep.
Whether that's interior or edge. So, I mean, if somebody like the Bears are truly, I mean, if they're in it to win it like right now, and you want to see them be challenging right now, and you want a proven player, yeah, make that trade. But realistically, you're only going to have him for what, maybe 6 to 7 years on the higher side.
I'll take that.
And that's really pushing it. I mean, you're probably more looking at like 4 or 5. Honestly.
I'll take that too.
But if you want a guy that's going to be there for your franchise, I think, me personally, from the outside looking in, not as a diehard Bears fan,
right,
I think the better option is to grab one of those guys, especially since 7 of the top 10 picks are all going after quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Whether that's in the draft or whether that's free agency or trade.
Yeah.
Those teams are looking for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, not only are you going to get a high pick, but you're going to get one of the top 5 defensive line prospects in the drafts.
Right.
I mean, that's like saying, hey, if you could have had Jared Verse last year, would you take him? It's like, I mean, he had a pretty damn good year.
True.
I
mean, for let's say the Bears last year, I was super excited about the Rome pick. Still excited about the Rome pick, but I made my case very clear last year that I would have preferred an offensive lineman, and I stand by that. A lot of my early mock drafts, and Shane can vouch for me, I actually had the Bears getting Jared Verse. I thought we were going to get the Caleb at 1, obviously, and then go D lineman at that 9 spot. I would have loved Fuaga from Oregon State as well. Go Beavs. He had a great rookie year. Would have loved Verse, but I'm happy with Rome. I think it's going to be a good long-term play, right? But I will say for this draft and the defensive lineman, obviously, let's just talk the Bears for just a quick sec. Obviously, offensive line is a huge need, huge desire, and I think we're going to make some big moves in free agency. I'm feeling it. But let's say like we do some okay moves in free agency, and it's like that 10th pick. It's just like, okay, yeah, there's going to automatically go offensive line. I'll say this up front right now: if a couple of these top edge rushers slip, like a Mason Graham from Michigan or Abdul Carter, if they slip down to 10 somehow, you're grabbing them. Like I'm grabbing them up front over an offensive lineman. Only those two. Let me make that clear. Carter or Graham. If they slip to 10, I'm grabbing them. Anyone else? Okay, yeah, let's address the offensive line. You know what I mean? But so I do feel you. It is a deep trenches draft, honestly. And you do bring up a great point that a lot of the top picks are going after a quarterback, whether if it's draft or something else. Because, saying that, that's great clarification because there's obviously not a lot of quarterbacks that are top 5 graded. You know what I mean? Like, we can both agree there's probably only going to be 2 guys, and that's it. Probably only 2 guys in the first round. But all those teams, they need a QB, whether if it's from free agency or draft or trading, I mean. So that is something to kind of think about. The Myles Garrett thing is interesting. And like I said, I don't think there's going to be any sort of resolution until late summer. I really don't. I think this is going to get nasty quick because the Browns just don't want to move him. Now, for the Cooper Kupp situation, I think that will happen very fast. Because and I think it will happen fast because out of respect for Cooper Kupp. So for I love the memes online that I've seen where it's just like, oh, he's a great receiver out of his prime. He's a perfect Tennessee Titan. I don't think the Rams would trade him to Tennessee, even though that would be very funny and very on brand for the Titans. But I think the Rams will do right by Cooper Kupp, and they're going to trade him somewhere. It'll be AFC more than likely, and a team that is ready to compete. You know what I mean? Who that team's going to be, that's the ultimate question. I don't know. In terms of AFC teams ready to go, I would love it if he went to Jacksonville. I wouldn't say we're ready to compete, but that would be really cool. That'd be really cool if he got traded to Jacksonville. Let's see if I can manifest that. But no, I think the Rams will do right by Cooper Kupp. I really do. I mean, you kind of get that same vibe with how that one's being approached versus, the Myles Garrett one.
Yeah. I think it will be done a lot quicker than the Myles Garrett. But honestly, I think they have so much respect for Cooper Kupp that they will even allow him to be traded to the NFC.
Oh, really?
And I know
let him go with it.
And I'm probably skipping a little ahead here. But my number 1 spot for Cooper Kupp would be the Washington Commanders.
Okay.
If you're talking about potential and about competing, I think the Commanders are the number 1 spot for him because the thing that Cooper Kupp does, he's gonna open up the middle of the field, right? He's a middle of the field kind of guy. He's gonna run your deep slants, you're gonna run your curls, your outs, he's that type of guy, and for him to, he's gonna severely open up the edge for a Scary Terry, right?
Oh, for sure. Imagine Jaden to Kupp, that'd be awesome.
I mean, I think that's probably, if I'm Cooper Kupp, the Commanders are number 1 on my trade request list, because I think that would help Jaden Daniels as a blanket, just to be able to rely on him.
Right.
Now, again, he's got to stay healthy. I think that's the biggest thing with Cooper Kupp right now. He's got to stay healthy. But if he does, and he's not the number 1 guy like he kind of was turning into in LA, I think he can stay a little bit healthier with not having to be depended on over and over and over again to make these big plays. Right. So Commanders are my number 1 spot for him. I think that would be a tremendous fit. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't come up with it myself. I saw RG3 tweet about it, and it just made sense.
That's fair.
Initial thoughts was like, hey, he's like, if I'm Dallas, I'm going after him.
Yeah, true.
Like if I'm Dallas right now, if I'm seeing these play request trades, I'm sending out fucking holiday baskets. I'm sending out Valentine's gifts. I'm sending out anniversary gifts.
Yep. I'm
sending them cars. I'm sending them invitations to come to town. Like, I'm doing everything I can to try and help that organization.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think Commanders are the best spot for him right now.
Imagine somehow, some way, in some magical universe, he goes to the Lions. Think about that possibility.
That's a potential. But
yeah, Lions and Rams, they got some good relations. You know what I mean?
They do.
Yeah, they've made some big deals happen before. That would be an interesting one too. I could see, but I could see Lions. I could definitely see the Commanders. The Commanders is a good one to throw out there.
And you're talking about opening up the field, brother. Like what he would do to help Amon Ross St. Brown and Jameis
J-Mo,
Williams.
yeah.
Bro.
Dude, electric.
Bro.
Yeah, you open up the middle of the field with you open up the middle of the field with Detroit with Cup and Sam Laporta. You know what I mean? Like, bruh. Bruh. I mean, you're cooking. You're cooking. I don't know the Lions cap situation, so I don't even know if it's possible, but it would just be, it's a fun thought. You know what I mean? It is a fun thought.
For sure.
But no, the Commanders, I think, would be a really good one. In terms of the AFC, you know, I still think like something like Buffalo could be a good one. You know what I mean? They had surprisingly a really improved receiving core this year, and I think it was because Josh didn't have clear weapons, and he's just like, okay, let's just make things happen. You know what I mean? Like, let's elevate other people. But man, getting someone like Cooper Kupp up there just to have like that blanket weapon, you know, along with like his Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, you know, the guy, the rook they drafted. I can't remember his name. I apologize on that. You know, I think that could be a possible fit too. I think that could be really interesting. So I think it'll be cool to see where Cooper Kupp goes. Because like I said, I do think the Rams are going to do right by him. The Myles Garrett one is just going to be a long drawn out process. I don't think that's going to happen very quick.
And I think Cooper Kupp is a Bills type of guy, a Bills and a New England type of guy.
Yep.
Like, I know it's a big transition from playing in LA to playing in a cold weather environment like those two. But man, like inside the AFC, like it's got to be a Bills New England type of guy. Like it just seems like he would fit there. Now New England, of course, it'd be kind of more of a rebuilder, but
hey, what about Denver?
Oh yeah, I would love to have him in Denver.
Yeah, what about Denver, bud? Let's go.
I mean, and also send me to Seattle too.
Well, that's in division. I don't think they do. I don't think they respect them that much.
I mean,
I don't think they respect them that much.
Hey, let's see. You know, that'd be nice though.
Yeah. Now the Denver one, it's gonna be interesting to see how those couple things played out. Now you already kind of touched on the Cowboys, so let's touch on the Cowboys because I'm pretty sure all of Cowboys Nation are just ready to jump off a cliff with Mike McCarthy, you know, parting ways very late into the head coaching process for teams, and then ultimately what it feels like Dallas settling on Brian Schottenheimer. If you were a Cowboys fan, is there any slimmer of hope that you would have right now? Because every Cowboys fan I've talked to, they want to jump off a cliff and they're ready to denounce their fandom.
Listen, I'll put it this way. There is absolutely no hope for this year.
True.
Toss in your talent, boys.
True.
If you have a second team, go cheer for your second team.
True.
If you want to go take a year-long vacation when it comes to football season, you just might as well do it. Because them boys are taking the dumpster, lighting that thing on fire, and just pushing it down the hill to see where it goes.
Yep.
Because they're going to wait a year. They're going to completely, I mean, this thing is going to have to be, the way I see it is going to be have to be a house flip, right?
Yeah.
Right now, you're in the tearing down stage.
Yep.
And hopefully in next off season you can kind of start rebuilding it back up. But right now, man, you're taking a sledgehammer and you're just tearing down the sheetrock. You're taking it to the shelves, to the kitchen. I mean, you're just demolishing the whole entire fucking house.
Yeah. And you know, I'm gonna go ahead and say this up front. I'll predict it right now. Episode 120, season 4 finale, February 4th, 2025. I'll predict it right now. Brian Schottenheimer will be one of those one and done head coaches for his first tenure.
For sure.
I don't see this guy. I see this as just a hire. I'm sorry, it is. I know he's the son of the legendary Marty Schottenheimer and stuff. I get it. But this was just a hire. I'm sorry, it is. I think there's something else in the weights maybe for Dallas. Maybe they're going to look at Dion again. Dion and Dallas had conversations. I personally still don't think Dion necessarily wants to leave college. I'm going to actually take Dion by his word that, you know, he doesn't want to coach grown men. You know what I mean? He wants to coach young men and help grow young men. I'm going to take him at face value. You know what I mean? I will. But maybe there's some other coach that could potentially they have their eye on for like next year that just didn't happen. I cannot see Schottenheimer being a longer than a one season coach for the Cowboys. I just can't. But, you know, even though that situation feels like a dumpster fire, I mean, the bigger dumpster fire I feel like is easily the Saints. They're still the only coaching position still open, and you know it's kind of clear why. I mean, they're kind of doing they're going by the proper steps of everything because they've really gotten hit by the league before. I heard Adam Schefter talking about this and everything, but you know all signs point that it's going to be Kellen Moore's job once the Super Bowl is over. But even if that's the case, I mean how much does Kellen Moore want it? I mean, it's a chance to be a head coach, big pay upgrade and stuff. You know, if Kellen's a smart guy, you and I watched him in college. So this is kind of surreal for us. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy to think about. But I feel like he's a smart guy who's going to maybe set some sort of precedent with the Saints of like, yo, you gotta at least give me at least X amount of seasons. Because, dude, that's the most unenticing job imaginable, where you have an aging Derek Carr locked into a contract who will not adjust his contract. Plus, you're already in $50 million negative in your salary cap. Plus, you have an aging defense. Like, there are no positives to this team. Like, Alvin Kamara had some flashes of Alvin Kamara play this past year, but he's not what he was. I mean, I think we can go ahead and say that. You know, you have Chris Olave, so you got one pillar potentially at receiver. I say potentially because he's looked good and looked like a superstar. Like I feel for Kellen if he's going to the Saints. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal going down to New Orleans.
I agree. I mean, and for the Saints, man, like I don't know.
There's no hope.
There's
really not. I mean, negative 50 mil in the cap alone is going to murder you.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts a lot. Man, once you put it that, once you actually sit back and think about it, I guess Dallas isn't the worst dumpster fire right now.
Yeah, right. I mean, the Saints still being open. Mike McCarthy saying, "No, I think I'm good. I think I'm going to take the year off."
Yeah, I'll take an analyst spot on some team and just kind of
just hang out and chill.
Fucking Salah did or whatever his name was.
Yeah. That's what he did, and now he's back as DC at San Fran. So that's gonna be a good fit there. The Saints are just dumpster fire, absolute dumpster fire. So one other team in the NFL that I did want to talk to you about, just want to talk about in general, is the Jets. They got Aaron Glenn, defense coordinator from the Lions. And then, of course, there's the big question with Aaron Rodgers. So curious your take on both these things. Number one, how you feeling about the Jets and Aaron Glenn and his pressers? And two, Aaron Rodgers, should the Jets retain him? Because here's my take. Number one, with Aaron Glenn, I got to be honest, I'm excited as hell for what this guy's going to bring to this team. Like, just his presser, the amount of moxie. I mean, you could tell he's a Dan Campbell guy. You know what I mean? Just the amount of moxie that Aaron Glenn oozes. You know what I mean? Like I like this is a dude that's going to come in and he's going to tell you what's up, right? And it's put up or shut up kind of situation. It's also cool that he's now coaching for the team that drafted him in the first round. So that's cool, but man, he oozes leadership moxie. You know what I mean? And I love that. I loved his pressers. And then for the Aaron Rodgers thing, I say absolutely. Because what's your other option, right? Like if Aaron Rodgers didn't play bad last year, the team played bad. You know, it's so funny to look back at a joke that he said on the Pat McAfee show a couple years ago when he was still a Packer, where he said, down years for me are career years for other quarterbacks. And like you look at his stats for this year, which is clearly, as we all consider, a down year for Aaron Rodgers, his stats and Josh Allen's stats are almost identical in terms of passing. And it's like, this is like a career year for Josh Allen. So it's kind of crazy, like, oh shit. Yeah. Aaron's talking his shit and he kind of means it. But I mean, you don't really have another option. My take is bring Aaron back. Aaron knows he doesn't have much time left, right? Like he knows it. He's got maybe a year. He knows it. So it's like, bring him back. Go ahead and get you a rookie somehow, whether if it's second round of the draft or whatever, and let Aaron kind of teach him. I mean, I don't know. What's your take on the Jets?
My gut says that with that front office, Aaron and Devontae are kind of just fed up.
I can see that.
But I think the Aaron Glenn hire could – I think the first thing, the second I landed in New York, if I was Aaron Glenn, and even before my press conference, hell, when I got the phone call to come over there, on my plane on the plane on the way to New York, my first 2 calls are to Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, because I would want to gauge where their mindset is, especially with the rumors coming out after the season and after they were knocked out of the playoffs that they weren't happy with the front office and how they've handled things and yada yada yada.
The kids thing running the team, basically.
Yeah, and so that'd be the number 1 thing. I think you're correct. I think they don't really have another option. But at the end of the day, if Devontae and if Devontae wants to leave, he can leave. Because I think he was only on a 1-year deal. Like, he only had 1 year left in his deal.
Something like that, 1 or 2.
I think Aaron is going into his last year now. Because I think he signed initially a 3 or 4 year deal. I think so. It could be a year or 2 left on it. But honestly, like, if Aaron Rodgers comes to the front office and says, "Hey, trade me somewhere or release me, let me do my thing," I mean, there's not really a lot you can do, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. If anybody can get them to stay, I think Aaron Glenn's going to be that guy.
Right. I agree.
Because I think if Aaron Glenn was there last year, we would not see an issue where Quinnen Williams, I think who it was, or was it the other defensive end, where he was traded to the Jets and then sat out for however many fucking weeks.
Hassan Reddick.
Yeah. Just because he wasn't getting his deal renegotiated.
Yeah.
With the Jets.
Isn't he an Eagle now, or was he an Eagle that went to the Jets?
He was an Eagle that went to the Jets.
Okay, that's what it was. Who was also once a Cardinal. What a career this guy's had. He's staying in the skies.
I don't think that would have happened with Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
Especially from him being a defensive guy, that would have not happened.
Right.
Because I feel like Aaron Glenn would be a type of guy that says, "Hey, we're going to work this out. It's going to be done within a certain amount of time. If not, you can go."
Yeah.
Because you're causing more issues than you're helping.
True.
And I think with that defense that they have, automatically they're better with Aaron Glenn being there.
Oh my God, yeah.
I think Salah, I mean, he was a defensive guy too, right?
Yeah.
But I think the Aaron Glenn being with Detroit and just, I mean, they've had probably the best defense, top 5 defense in the last 3 or 4 years that he's been there.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to immediately make an impact with the guys that New York has.
Yeah.
So automatically that's going to help Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
So honestly, the only thing you really have to do is tidy up the offensive line and be on your way. Like, that's really it.
Yeah.
Like,
bring Aaron back, figure out the future quarterback, right? You at least have a year with Aaron Rodgers to, like, okay, we can figure this thing out. Tidy up the O-line, and I feel like you're cooking a little bit, because there was flashes of good ball being played last year, and it's just, I feel like it was a lot of scheming issues, as well as some other issues here or there. So it's like, you get Aaron Glenn in there who's going to bring the right people in, and I feel like we can get to cooking. But I think the best move for the Jets is to bring Aaron back.
I agree.
And Aaron's vocalized, like, if there's, if he is going to come back and play, the first team would be the Jets, and then if not, we'll go from there. So I say run it back. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, you saw how this year went. I mean, can it get worse than this year? I say no.
It'd be difficult. It'd be difficult to be worse.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like, what's the worst that can happen, right? Also, still staying in the vein of all, like, the new hires and stuff like that, dude. The whole situation that took place with Liam Cohen with the Bucks and the Jaguars, that's like one of the craziest things I've ever seen happen in football. You know what I mean? Like, that was baffling. The entire, like, were you following that whole thing?
Yeah. I kind of caught the tail end of it,
dude.
I'm gonna be honest.
So, he interviews for the Jags, right? Interviews for the Jags, super interested in the job and everything. But his big thing, clearly, is he didn't want to work with Trent Baalke. Who does, right? Who does? No one does. So then it was finally decided he's going to return to the Bucks. He felt like it was the best move for his career. He was going to be the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL at that point. Then immediately Shad Khan finally grows a pair and fires Trent Baalke. And then immediately within the next, like, 10 hours, Liam Cohen is going back to Jacksonville. The Bucks cannot get a hold of Liam Cohen. The deal is made. He is now the head coach, and even to further add, they are not happy with the situation. The Bucs have blocked Liam from like interviewing a couple of coaches that were on his offensive staff in Tampa. It's like, nope, can't interview him. Sorry, we're denying your request, dude. It's it's one of the craziest situations I've ever seen happen with a coach. It's insane.
Yeah, that's kind of wild,
right? Is it not? Like, it's like, okay, you got the candidate you want. And then it's like, sorry, I don't want to work with the GM. If I can get my own GM, I'll come. It's like, oh, no, that's not going to happen. All right, well, see you. It's like the Jags, they were really trying to like call him on his bluff. It's just like, oh, no, you're not going to walk away. You'll work with Trent. And Liam's like, no, I'm good. I'm going to go back to Tampa. See ya. It's like, oh, shit. All right, Trent, you're fired. Thank God, by the way. He needed to be fired a long time ago. So, I mean, there's a silver lining. I'm not super overly pumped about Liam. Liam's done a great job at, the spots he's been at, but, it's a we'll see thing. He's got to work on his Duval. I don't know if you saw, I'm imagining you saw that clip.
I did not actually.
Oh, buddy. He's got to work on his Duval, and he's already been roasted about it, and he's already getting a little bit better. But, like, in his presser, I'll try to replicate it the best I can. You've heard me do Duvals here on the show, so you know what a real Duval is. So, in his presser, he was just like, Duval, and it's like that exact head motion and everything, and I'm just like, bruh. It reached the same level of concern where everyone's calling him, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be terrible, because they're calling him the same level of like, Sirianni's press conference, or Jonathan Gannon over in Arizona, shots fired, boom, boom, whatever he was saying, I don't remember. It's like that level of cringe. So it got to work on the Duval, buddy. Duval, brother.
That's man, that almost gives me PTSD of when we hired not Muscleman or not Chad Morris. God.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, we're gonna put the metal to the floor and we're gonna be fast and have just being cringy with like hammer down.
Yep.
And all that, and then we end up being one of the slowest offenses in the league. I mean, in the college football, but yeah, that type of cringe. But real quick, I kind of want to backtrack a little bit.
Yep.
We were talking about how Aaron Rodgers, if he was gonna stay, like things like that.
Yep.
So I want to talk about another quarterback that is currently a free agent, and no word that I've noticed of him being re-signed, and what this organization's plans are in bringing him back after probably his best year in the league.
Okay.
And Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold.
Oh, true. Are you thinking a reuniting situation?
Man, I mean, in my opinion, as a head coach and a GM, I know I've got JJ McCarthy there, right?
Yeah.
But having Darnold playing the way that he played, having my offense as good as they've played, I know they had one really bad game where they got like blown out, but it's the NFL. It'll happen.
Yeah.
I think you have to bring him back. For one, you have to see what it can lead to in the second year in the offense. And for two, it's only gonna help JJ being able to continue to get used to the NFL schedule.
True.
Get used to watching an NFL. I mean, he's 6-7 years into as well.
Right.
If not more. So an older guy seeing how he prepares each or in and out every week. That's only going to benefit JJ. I think if you're the Minnesota Vikings, you have to bring Sam Darnold back. But to my knowledge, as of today, February 4th, I have not seen anything, not even conversations happening.
Right. I think if you're any amount concerned with JJ's knee, you bring Sam back, right, on a 1-year deal. Give him a 1-year fat contract. I'm sure you can't say no to a multi-million-dollar deal where you might be sitting on the bench and you want to play, but you're making a lot of money, brother. But at the same time, if you're Sam, I mean, wouldn't you want to go somewhere else and try to make money somewhere else? I feel like the Vikings may give him the option to like, all right, we're not gonna necessarily just tag you outright, right? But we're gonna give you a 1-year deal, this amount of money, let's say $25 million. That's pretty solid. You're up in the upper. You're up there with QBs, right? Like, kind of. I know the high guys make like 50, 60 mil, but let's say 25 to 33 mil, right? That's pretty solid. Like, I think that's pretty solid. You do something like that, or let him have the opportunity to go kind of field the market. You know what I mean? See what other possibilities can get out there. I just hope if he fields the market, versus returning to the Vikings on that deal, I hope he just doesn't field the market to simply chase a payday and go to a really shitty team. You know what I mean? Because then it's just like everything that you did was for nothing. I'm sorry. If you go to the Titans, for example, like everything you did was for nothing. I'm calling it as it is. But maybe reunite with the Jets and the Jets walk from Aaron Rodgers. I feel like Aaron Glenn's pretty familiar with Sam Darnold at this point, playing him twice a year this past year, 3 times really, if you count the playoffs or what. They didn't play in the playoffs, my bad. So, I mean, I feel like, there could be some possibilities there. It'd be interesting to see Sam possibly return to Minnesota. I think that'd be interesting to see.
I think you bring him back no matter what. I think you bring him back with a 2-year deal with the second year being an option.
Yeah.
Or if he doesn't want to sign that, I think you do franchise tag him. I think you tag him, tell him like, hey, you're going to play for us this year. Treat this as a contract year. Go ball out, because guess what? Most likely the 7 teams that are in the top 10 in the draft, if they don't get their guy, they're probably going to tank. And guess what? That could set up them for potentially bringing in Sam Darnold to kind of breed in their next guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of the way that if I'm Sam Darnold, I'm treating it as well. Like, hey, I
will also throw this out there for another possibility to think about, because I really think we possibly saw the last of Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. So what about the possibility of him signing to Cleveland? Because Sam Darnold would be a Steven Stefanski type of guy. Or maybe it's maybe Vegas. Maybe Pete Carroll goes for Sam to get his guy in Vegas. Those are a couple other possibilities there in the AFC.
I think Vegas would be an option if he was not to come back to Minnesota.
Yeah.
But if I'm Sam Darnold, and as I was saying before, I had to mute. I have a team that is ready to win, and I have weapons that I can win with, and why not go take another chance?
Mm-hmm.
Why not have a shot at making the playoffs with a really good team, good weapons around me on offense and defensive side of the ball, to then go ball out, to then go chase a payday?
Right. And like I said, if the Vikings are anywhat concerned with JJ's knee, I think you do that. I think you franchise tag Sam, you bring Sam back, you ball out with Sam, whatever. And that's if there's any hesitation with JJ's knee. Don't rush it back at all. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I think that's going to be one of the more interesting storylines, because I feel like where a couple of these guys are going to go is Aaron going to, in fact, go back to the Jets? Where is Sam Darnold going to fall? I feel like that's going to kind of dictate some of these other teams that really need a QB, because, man, the Giants are kind of SOL, right? You can safely assume that, obviously the Titans for sure, and the Browns at 2 more than likely, like a 90% chance, are both going QB. The Giants sitting there the 3rd pick, you're not getting a QB at number 3 at that point if Cam and Sanders go, right? So it's just like, where do the Giants fall in this? But at the same time, I want to watch the Giants just kind of fall down and burn with the current GM that's in there, because you're an idiot. You shouldn't let Barkley walk, clearly. You're a dumbass, and you deserve what's coming to you, just like Nico Harrison deserves what's coming to him down in Dallas with the Mavericks.
Yeah.
So, dumb GMs doing dumb GM things. But in terms of GMs not doing dumb GM things, and teams not doing dumb team things, very proud to say the Bears didn't fuck up for once, and we got Ben Johnson. And here's the thing. I want to say this. If Ben Johnson flops and he's terrible, we're terrible, everything goes to shit, Poles gets fired, Ben Johnson gets fired, maybe even Kevin Warren gets fired, you know what? At that point, just admit we're cursed. You as an organization, you hired the safest pick. You didn't do anything spicy or fancy where we can really hold you to execute you, you know what I mean, and burn you at the stake. Like, you didn't go out and get some hot shot OC. You didn't hire David Shaw, or one of the other 1825 interviews you did. You hired the safe choice. The number one prospect, you hired him. Great job. You busted out the checkbook while you were at it. If it doesn't work out, we're just cursed, and you know what? Good on you. At least you tried this time. You know what I mean? That's my verdict on how it's going to go. But am very excited, though. Watched his entire opening presser. Was very impressed with it. Very impressed with the way he conducted himself and just the answers, and just felt a little bit different than it did the past couple times. And as a Bears fan, I think there's a lot to look forward to. I'm pretty damn excited right now.
I agree, and I think if I'm, especially I know I keep going back to Dallas, but if I'm Dallas, I am vomiting.
Yeah.
At the thought of not doing what we needed to be doing sooner.
Yep.
And honestly, the last 2 years, that's kind of their trend, right?
Yep.
They do it, but they're always late.
Like last free agency.
They could have saved so much money in doing the deal for Dak. I don't even care. Sign him to $60 million. Do what you need to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think he's the guy. You think he's a $60 million man. Sign him.
Yep.
That's cool. You have the money. Go do it. But if he would have done it 2.5, 3 months earlier than what happened, he could have saved so much cap and been in a position to go get more weapons to help that team.
Yep.
That we would have not seen a Dallas team perform like the way they did. And again, here we are. You want to make a move, you're indecisive, and you do it, but you do it weeks and months late.
Right.
Mike McCarthy should have been out week 13. He should have been one of the first coaches fired.
Mm-hmm.
And the first phone call I would have made was to Detroit. For either one of them, Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
Like, without a doubt. Like, we knew this from ages ago, from last offseason, that they were most likely not going to return to the Detroit Lions for the 2025 season.
Right.
So why wait? If you know a guy is a guy, why wait? And go get the guy.
And that's kind of what the Bears did. I mean, obviously we had to wait for the playoff game to come to a close, but that's why we just did our due diligence, all our hiring. But as soon as that playoff game closed, things moved quickly. You know what I mean? And there was so much smoke out there with, where Ben Johnson was going to go, whether it be like the Raiders or whatever. After listening to his presser and kind of just learning more, it was always Chicago. The moment that he talked about that he and his wife had been coming to Chicago for like the last 10 years during the summer for Cubs games, for Cubs series, it was over. I was like, yep, it was always Chicago. I don't know why there was ever a doubt. You know what I mean? He loves the city. He loves the people. It was never a doubt. But also at the Dallas point, in terms of waiting so long that you did, I mean, this should have been settled with Mike like right after the last week of the year. You know what I mean? I wouldn't go as far as what you're saying and fire him week 13. I respect your opinion. I would say, pull a situation of make it through the year. He's a respectable head coach. Make it through the year and then let him go not long after this. But you should have done it pretty quick. But then also, like, if you're going to get your guy, why are you settling on Schottenheimer when you could potentially, go after a hot coordinator who was your coordinator and a guy that you 100% interviewed with Kellen Moore? Like, wait a little bit longer, and then once Super Bowl's over, it's a feeding frenzy of the Saints and the Cowboys trying to get Kellen potential. I mean, I feel like you really settled with Schottenheimer. You know what I mean? And just you're so behind the ball because you missed out on. Let's just say you missed out on Aaron Glenn, because I'm going to stand by what I just said. I think for Ben Johnson, it was the Bears or nobody. That's my opinion. Bears or nobody. So let's say, in Dallas's case, you missed out on Aaron Glenn, who could have been a great candidate, right? You missed out on him. You missed out on some other candidates just by waiting too long with Mike. Is that Dallas's fault? Is that Mike's fault? A little bit of both. I feel like in Dallas's fault, like if there was any doubt about moving on, you should have just went ahead and did it. But apparently, to my understanding, that was That was a Mike McCarthy thing that he kind of told them. So he kind of fucked over Dallas, which is so Godspeed because fuck the Cowboys. But I don't know. It's just a weird situation in Dallas right now. There's really no reason to be excited as a Cowboys fan.
I mean, yeah, and the thing is, like, Dallas itself has so much pull, right?
Yeah.
They're like an LA, they're like a Lakers
Yep.
team.
Yep.
They're like a Golden State now with the NBA.
Yep.
Just them reaching out to a candidate, you automatically are in the running,
Yep.
regardless of if you go 2-14 or 2-15 or 2-16 or whatever it may be, and you just absolutely suck, but you go after the top candidate, top guys after that year, you're automatically going to be in the running. Because
Yep.
guess what? If you're that guy to turn around that franchise, they will build not only a statue in your image, but they will probably make a fucking museum. They will idolize you like a Greek god down there in Dallas if you were to turn them around and win them a championship or get them to an NFC championship. Hell, win a playoff game and they'll build a damn statue out there.
Mm-hmm.
So why are, and I think that's honestly where most of the sickness from Dallas fans are coming from. Why be indecisive? I understand there's things with Mike McCarthy kind of screwing you over and things like that, but we're seeing a trend these last 3-4 years where you're set on a decision, but you're hesitating.
Right.
You're hesitating. You're indecisive. Questioning. And then you do it, and it's months too late, and everything goes to shit, and then you're right back in the same situation the next year.
Yep.
Like Dallas, you at the end of the day, you're Dallas, right? You're a team with history.
Yep.
You're a team with championships in the past. You have power regardless. Go step on people's throats and go get the guy that you want to go get.
True. Like the fact that you're the Dallas Cowboys, the number one, valued sports franchise on the planet, I think is something like that, something crazy. And you can't, the fact that we're at where you are and haven't made an NFC championship game in 30 years now. It's just crazy to me, the state that they're in. And honestly, it's going to be like this until Jerry retires, or I'll just say retires. I don't want to say anything else. Until he's out of the picture, in terms of running the team. I really think that's how it is, right? And to further add to the problems of Dallas, I was sitting here scrolling Twitter to see if there was anything else to shout out, once we kind of nearing the end of the show here soon. And Zach Martin hasn't even decided if he's going to play this year. So if he doesn't play this year, that's a big blow. Future Hall of Fame guard that you potentially have to try to replace. Good Godspeed on that, right? Especially when you had an injured quarterback, Dak Prescott, coming back from injury. You know what I mean? So it's a mess down in Dallas. It really is. But hey, something else though. To circle back to a previous conversation, I was sitting here when I was doing the scrolling to shout something out. Apparently, the Lions are in fact interested in Cooper Kupp. Because you got to keep in mind, Brad Holmes was in the front office when Cooper was drafted, and Cooper Kupp still is a close friend with Jared Goff. Cooper Kupp to the Detroit Lions could be a possibility, my friend.
Hey, what's the saying? The rich get richer.
Yeah, there you go.
Crazy.
Oh, and then also, we got the news a couple days ago, but it is official now. Chip Kelly left Ohio State and is now back in the NFL as the offensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders. So big shout out to that. That's going to be
I think that's going to be interesting, especially knowing how Pete Carroll runs his offense and being a defensive kind of minded guy.
Yeah.
And having Chip Kelly now coming off of a national championship with Ohio State, having the offense that he ran with them, and the offense that Chip Kelly's known for, right? I mean, even Chip Kelly's first stint in the NFL went well for a period of time, right?
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting. I think if they get the right pieces, and the type of guys that they need to get, then I think they're going to be on the right track to be good in 2, 3, 4 years. But again, they're in the bottom three kind of rolls right now, and it's kind of amazing. I'm not throwing the Panthers in this, but the bottom three would be the Saints, Cowboys, and Raiders. the Raiders kind of being better because I'm pretty sure they're a lot better off in the cap, right? They're a lot better off in the draft positioning. Like they have a path to kind of start doing that rebuild, and just knowing of what you got to get and doing it the right way and getting the right guys.
Yeah.
But man, it's tough, especially at the bottom 5, 6, 7 teams, man. Like, I think we're in an era right now where, I mean, the top 10, top 15 teams in the league, they're going to stay there. The bottom 10 to 15 teams are going to be there for a while. I think we're not going to see a lot of any more of these 1-year turnovers anymore of a team being bad and then in the playoffs the next year.
Right. It's got to be the right situation, which one right situation could unironically be the Bears. I'm not even saying as a Bears fan. I'm just keeping it a buck. You know, we have a lot better scheme. We improved the offensive line, and I feel like you're set to go. But it is going to be rare. It is going to be rare. But also still kind of talking about Chip, though. Shout out to Ohio State. Winning the national championship. Can I get an OHIO from you? OH?
IO.
That's for Jacob. Shout out to you, buddy. I know you needed that. And I know you, Shane, you had a PSA that you wanted to deliver involving PSA to the nation, that is, to deliver involving the status of Notre Dame. So the floor is yours.
Yes, we here at A Terrible Football Show, as of February 4th of 2025 on episode 120, the season 4 finale, we'll be issuing out a nationwide petition to not allow Notre Dame into the national championship ever again.
Brother, every damn time.
Let's be honest. It's been a tough 3 championship runs for Notre Dame. The last 3 times they've been there, they've been dog walked.
Yep.
They've been taken out of the house on a leash and walked to the dog park and left there. It's not been pretty, boys. I'm sorry.
And, you know, people also like to immediately bring up the fact, say, well, you know, the one time they did go to a conference, they went to the conference championship, which is the COVID year where they went to the ACC. It's like, yeah, but brother, that's the ACC. I'm an ACC guy with Miami, and I'm telling you, yeah, it's the ACC, though. That's not a big deal. I'm just keeping it real.
And that's that. They didn't even play. They played, 6 games, 7 games.
Yeah,
ACC were one of the ones that.
Yeah.
That's the year that Clemson won, and they only played 7 games that year.
Yeah. So it's like, how much is that to brag about, buddy? I don't know. I will be signing this petition presented by ATFS because I am also tired of seeing Notre Dame go to the Natty and lay a giant egg.
And also, don't feel bad, Notre Dame. TCU may be there if they get dog walked again, like they did, 2-3 years ago. They could be on that petition with you, so don't feel too bad.
Right. Man, dude. I mean, at least on the bright side, the national championship featured 2 teams that weren't the top 4 ranked, right? That's, I guess, the silver lining. I still think the first year of the 12-team playoff was utterly disappointing, in my opinion. No upsets round 1 was kind of a killer. Wanted to see at least one, you know what I mean? And instead, you get some pretty brutal beatdowns, but I mean, again, at least the winner was someone who in the old system, in this particular year, they would not have even made it to the playoffs. So at least that's cool. It's a team that obviously deserved to be in there because, they did take out the number 1 team in the nation to get there and everything. But I would say for the first year of the 12 team, I would give it a solid B- in terms of how it went. It just maybe a C+. I mean, it did not go swimmingly, in my opinion, because round 1 was such a fucking disaster. I mean, how did you feel about the 12-team playoff year 1?
Yeah, I would agree. I wouldn't be that harsh. I'd probably be B-, B, because at the end of the day, I think they have the right model, right? Because like you said,
yeah,
if this was last year, the 2 teams that were there wouldn't have even been, it wouldn't even had a chance.
Yeah.
So it did its job
to an extent,
getting them there, right?
There needs to be changes though on the seeding.
I think there needs to be slight changes.
Yeah.
I think what needs to happen is don't get automatic qualifiers. I think the top 4 needs to be the top 4, regardless if you win a conference championship or not.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that hurts my heart because I think conference championships do need to mean something.
See,
But
I'm in the boat to still make them mean something because, like, I'm in the NFL playoff mindset, man. Like, I don't care if I've got a 7-9 Seahawks team. We got the beastquake out of it, baby. You know what I mean? Like hosting a playoff game against the Saints, first time ever. A team with a losing record hosted a playoff game, and we got the beastquake out of it. Seahawks won. Like, I mean, it's possible. So, like, I'm in the boat of the conference championships need to matter, but the rest of the seeding process needs to change. I don't think it needs to be a firm bracket. You're going here. Dude, just copy paste NFL. It's not hard. Highest, lowest, highest, lowest. Let them swap up throughout the bracket. I don't see what's a big deal about that.
yeah, I agree because like I said, I want a situation to where it doesn't end up like it did, right?
Yeah. Where
Because
certain teams have a super
honestly-
easy path.
Because honestly, the first 2 rounds didn't. I mean, there were closer games in the second round, but
Yeah.
honestly, like first 2 rounds of the playoffs were like, you know, I could have waited for the final 4 and then just been just fine.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't fair football.
Yeah.
And by fair, I mean like we were watching teams get blown out,
True.
dog walked, on a national stage. That's not good for football.
True.
That's not good for college football. So we've got to find a way to make sure we give conference champions benefit, right, of being conference champions, but not in a sense to where they're locked into place, like you said.
Yeah, because that's the one thing I got really tired of with these playoffs is when they were kind of getting started and the bracket was set. I got so tired of the constant conversation. Oh, well, we got the easiest path there. Oh, we got the easiest path there. Oh, Oregon's got the hardest path there. Dude, I don't want to hear it. Like, the seeding is so stupid to me. Like I'm telling you, I just reseeded after round 1. Just treat it like NFL, you know, highest to low, whatever. You know, if 12 seed wins round 1, 12 seed's going to play the number 1 team in the nation. Is it going to be a blowout? Possibly, but that's the seeding. Like, just highest low, you're the number 1 seed for a reason. You're supposed to get an easier path, right? Versus in this case, being the number 1 seed, having the hardest path to get there. I don't know. There needs to be some changes, and I think with how many blowouts there were and how many kind of lopsided matchups there were, I think there will be changes. You know, it's year 1. You got to work out the kinks. You know what I mean? If they just copy and pasted, though, and didn't make any changes this year, I'd be shocked. I will say that. I'd be very
agree.
shocked.
I agree, and I mean, honestly, I think we'll probably see 12 teams for another 2-3 years, and then
Another
guess what?
another conversation will come up.
We'll go to 16.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's going to be that type of thing, and then we're going to be right back here in the next 3 years having the same conversation. Like, what are they going to do with seeding?
True.
You know, how are they going to do this? How are they going to do that? College football now is in a thing to where every year something is going to happen to change how college football is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, with that, I say let's finish up the show. You know, good conversation, good season finale cap off for season 4 of ATFS. Hey, like I said, you know, we made it 4 seasons without really going on a hiatus. You know, kudos to us on that. You know, we did a good job. But, you know, again, life happens, shit happens, and we just keep rolling with the punches. That's just it's just the truth of it. So, Shane, is there any speeches you would like to give to the world before I hit the music and we get out of here?
nope. I wanted to say my one thing about Notre Dame, so I'm glad we got that out in the air.
I didn't forget about you.
Also,
I didn't forget about you.
I'm so glad because I totally did.
But
But
I
as soon as you said Shane has something to say to the world, I knew where you were going with it. So I was happy.
Yeah, there you go.
Other than that, I just got 4 numbers for you. 1,000. Well, one number, but 4 numbers inside of that number.
Okay.
1,889 days. Love you, Jacob.
I'm hitting the music. We're going to get out of here. So if you made it all the way to the end, we appreciate the hell out of you. If you've listened to the show throughout this season and wondered why we disappeared, well, now you know why. And this season's now, like I said, officially to a close because the rest of my month is beyond screwed in terms of work. I'm not going to be able to fit in during the week to try to do any sort of show post Super Bowl. We normally take a break after the Super Bowl anyway, so we'll regroup and come back. When we come back, like I said, worst comes to absolute worst, bare minimum. We will be live for the draft. We'll do some stuff pre-draft and just try to get ready for Season 5. Maybe Season 5 have a new twist to the show. Who knows? It'll be fun there. Make sure to join the Discord, be a friend, tell a friend, check out the Patreon. We'd appreciate that extra support. As well as check out some Rogue Energy and some Agent Inc., even though some of the Agent Inc. stuff, I'm getting some stuff updated. But Spark3shop.com as well. And make sure to check out just the Sparky3 channel. Check out Gamesthetic and a terrible wrestling show as well right here at ATSN. And I think that's it. So with that said, just until next time, have a great one. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Thank God this football season's over. Feels great for you. Cool. It sucked for me. All right. Bye.